Sex Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka. With me on the show this week is intimacy coach Rose Heartsong. Rose is a very, very kinky girl. She likes to practice this thing called conscious kink, which means basically embracing your shadow side and embracing the wild, horny, crazy, kinky things you might want to do, but on your own terms without violating any of your boundaries. She's gone to tons and tons and tons of sex parties, had tons of sex. She's very experienced. We talk about some of her wilder experiences at sex parties, her having sex with two guys at once, facials where she prefers a guy to come, messing around with women, holding that intentionality. We also talk about her work, how she's able to take her clients and kind of get rid of their shame and embrace their shadow sides, embrace their kink. She's got a really cool new program coming up. We dive into that. It's a wild, kinky, horny episode. You guys are going to love it. So please enjoy my conversation with Rose Heartsong.
This week's conversation.
Rose Heartsong, welcome to Sex Party. I do have to be transparent. This is your second time on Sex Party. They will never see the first time because it was a technical malfunction of epic proportions, which it happens, people. You know, if you're going to start a podcast, like make sure you start eating healthy and seeing a therapist. But this is your second time, but for them, it's your first. So welcome to the show, first of all.
Thank you.
Of course,
Appreciate
you're welcome. Further transparency, you and I met at the Stimulate conference in Nashville, which shout out to Stimulate. Fucking amazing time. Like, what a great show that is. I can't recommend it like more. It's just amazing. And that's coming from someone who does all the shows. And so we love that. So you and I met in person. So now they're transparently brought up to speed, which is great. So for the people who don't know you, and we're about to go on a fun, kinky, wild ride with intention. You're a very interesting person. I knew when I met you, within like 30 seconds, I wanted you on the show. I had an idea of like where we could go with the episode. And I think we'll probably end up going even further in this episode. But for those people who don't know you, I'm going to shut the fuck up. Could you talk a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Hi. I'm a sex, love and intimacy coach, and I bring a lot of intention to everything I do through the lens of Tantra and conscious kink. And I'm also an initiated priestess. I've been in a school for like magic and oracle arts for over a year, and I like to use kink as a form of somatic therapy. Well, not therapy because I'm not a therapist, but like somatic release. And I also love to play with conscious power play and really dive into the shadow in an intentional, prayer-focused way to help release trauma, shame. A lot of times it's religious trauma, honestly, when it comes to pleasure and desire, and help people become more embodied in their erotic essence and truth, and more intentional and spiritual with it.
Oh yeah. See, and we love that because this is super interesting because we hardly ever conscious kink, first of all, like maybe that's already the episode title. I don't know, but I love. Have you coined that term? Is that your term, or
No,
has someone?
it's coined already. Somebody's already coined it. I can't remember who, I know. But I am coining my online program, which is the Erotic Rose Path.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I will get to that too. And I think you, and you know, maybe you don't want to drop it yet on this episode, but I also think like you're representing a brand that you might want to be talking about too coming up in this episode. I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay,
Goddess
cool.
Naturals. It's an all-natural CBD infused, science-backed lube brand that I'm really excited about. Everything that everything that I do is intentional. So from what I put in my body to what I put on my skin to what clothing I wear to every single part. I mean, I'm from California. Can you tell? I'm a bougie California bitch. Let's just be real.
She's a California girl, ladies and gentlemen. She's kinky, she's horny, she's here. But she's intentional, and we love that. So I think this is, again, tremendous because we have something that traditionally it's like, oh, there's that woo-woo shit. And then it's like, oh, threesomes, foursomes, kink, BDSM, eat my ass, like whatever. You're sort of mixing those two. And I love this. And also, like, you're a coach and you're doing all sorts of things. And I love that. I think when you said to me either in this last episode or maybe it was in person or I don't know, in the DMs about bringing spirituality like back into sex, I think people automatically tune out and go, oh, I'm not religious. I don't want to bring Jesus, and I'm not. That's not what you're talking about. So explain to them what you mean, right?
Well, first off, I feel like Christianity has like killed the bedroom and sex and eroticism
Agreed.
by shaming the fuck out of it. And it's all based on rumors. There's no facts in the Bible whatsoever about Jesus not having sex. I actually think he did have sex. I think he had a wife. I think he had a wife, and her name was Mary Magdalene, and I think they practiced sex magic rituals. And unfortunately, it was hidden and manipulated and shamed, and shame is the worst. But when it comes to sex, like, I actually think that Mary Magdalene, I'm really into Mary Magdalene. She's like one of my spiritual guides in life. I think she was trained in the cult of Isis, and Isis is in Egypt, and the cult of Isis was actually sex magic rituals. So she was actually an initiated priestess in the realms of sex magic and sexual initiations, which back thousands and thousands of years ago, the first actual evidence we have of any writing of any kind is Edwana, and she was I think it was like 2500 BCE, I believe. So she was about 2500 years before Jesus was around. And she wrote about Inanna, who is a priestess of sex and love. And there was these women that were in these temples that were considered, basically they were wives of the gods, and you would go, men who were having like, emotional trauma or came back from war or had an issue in their family, maybe a death or something, would go in devotion to these. They were basically sacred prostitutes, and they would go have a night of initiation with them. And they would actually get on their knees before the experience in this ritual, and they would pray to Venus. And Venus is the goddess of sex and love, and also the morning star. And there's a whole rose path with that. But if they were to disrespect these women, because they were married to the gods, their whole families would be cursed. And so they were never treated disrespectful. It was very honor. And it was this transmutation and this transformation, this healing that occurred in this. And then unfortunately, as time went on and the patriarchy kind of took over, these women were shamed. And, we're living in a world where there's a re-emergence of prostitution in a way that's socially accepted with OnlyFans, but it's not coming from a place of intentionality as often. There are some women on OnlyFans that bring more attention. But so it's really about kind of reclaiming spirituality in the bedroom. And I think as we shame religion, which we're doing in a big way right now, because we're seeing how kind of fucked up Christianity really is, like the culture of it, not the teachings. We're resisting the spiritual sides of ourselves. And I think we are very spiritual beings. And as we do that, I'm seeing more depression, disconnection, anxiety, frustration, stress, overwhelm, like really negative side effects of rejecting a spiritual practice.
Yeah. Well, beautifully said. And I want to just add to that. Number one, we love OnlyFans, we love porn. You and I both. So we're not shaming, we're not saying we're not whatever, but it's just a different approach in terms of intentionality and whatever. And sex work is work. We love sex workers. More power to them.
They're great.
Yeah. And also I think Christian nationalism is probably the greatest threat to the United States across the board, maybe a threat to the world across the board, because that's where you get into like what you're talking about, like with shame, to a degree where it's into politics and everyone's losing their access to porn and access to healthcare and birth control and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to add that and see what you had to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, no, like I said, I have a middle, I'm kind of like middle ground in a lot of areas, right? When we going back to like I teach tantra, but I feel like if I go deep into the tantra realm, people aren't grounded and they're not practical and they're kind of up in the eros, and then if you go all the way down into the dungeon, right? A lot of
Okay.
those people have a tendency to be disconnected from their heart and their spirit and their soul, and there's kind of like this like extremism on both sides, right? So I like to find the balance. I think kink really benefits from tantra and tantra benefits from kink because they can ground each other. And it's really also about like, the middle ground where like OnlyFans is amazing because it's empowering women to like have abundance and work for themselves and use their sexual power to make an impact in the world and create magic. But then there's also the toxic side of it, right? Where there are like parents having their daughters do it, and like there's like that's the thing about sexuality is it has so many different nuances. There's so much magic in it and there's so much darkness, and so it's really about finding that middle ground and really being intentional. Like that's what I love. That's where I'm at, is like, are you doing this because you want to and you deeply yearn to? Or are you doing it because your partner wants you to, or society wants you to, or your family doesn't want you to? Usually though, it's like a rebellion. So it's like, what's your intention and why are you doing it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that probably leads to a bigger enjoyment for you personally, right? Where because some people, and this is sort of where I wanted to dial in with you, because you're so intelligent with all of this, and I think you probably have clients that will benefit from that intelligence and benefit from your experience. And you've done some wild shit, which I already know about, because we recorded and talked and whatever, but which we're going to get to. This episode will be full of wild stuff, guys, so just wait. But I think
I am kinky. I'm very kinky.
she's very, very kinky. Yes. And so just wait till you hear. And so I think you mentioned shame. And I do think, I mean, people like myself, I have no shame. I don't fucking give it. I don't, whatever. Like I would label myself like a fucking deviant and whatever. And I'm proud of that. Right. And I'm okay with that. And I love that. And that's who I am. And I'm always wanting to try stuff. I'm a very dominant sort of person, but obviously, like, I feel like
I have a question for you.
Sure.
What's your next like big kinky thing you want to try that you haven't done yet?
I seriously, I want to like do the whole thing where I tie someone up, like have like a switch and like break them, like make them like, break down. And obviously people with consent, and so
Well, what's the intention? What's the intention there, right?
I think my intention for it is, not only does it turn me on a lot, and it feels like a really horny form of control and like degradation, which is like one of my things that I really like sexually. But to see that released in a person and knowing that they have a safe word that they don't use, like, and seeing that like insanely, like maybe tears, like I want to be part of that. I want to do that. So I think that's for me is what I want. I mean, and I also have looked into like being trained like as a dom too, because so whatever, so maybe that'll be something. Yeah, but for me, like I really want to get into that a little bit more. I don't know, maybe there's like a home sex dungeon or something that's going to be coming in the next whatever. But I love that shit, and I think I'm someone who's cool with that, right? But you being a coach, and you mentioned shame, maybe there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that aren't like me, and they have shame, whether they're a man, they're a woman, right? But they are fighting this darker side of them, their shadow side, we called it. And they have shame around kink. Maybe they want to do things like I want to do. Maybe it's someone who wants the things that I just talked about being done to them. Maybe they want to have a threesome or foursome, and they're coming to you. And what I think about is great about what you're doing is it seems like you're going to break down those shame barriers and help them embrace their shadow side and make them realize they're not evil or they're not wrong or they're not going against their own thing. So if you could talk about that, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I kind of always say like I'm your spiritual kinky cheerleader. Right. So as long
Another
as you're
potential like episode title, spiritual kinky cheerleader. I think that's the episode title. Fuck.
yeah, so a lot of times people don't even express out loud verbally to their partners what it is that they desire. So usually I start with like, I have a checklist on my website that's a Tantra and kink checklist that I have people go through. They kind of just like, I call it the sacred kink and tantric exploration checklist. And it helps people kind of like go through a list, but I've added a lot of spiritual things into it, which is different than most. And so I start with the communication, right? I'm a communication expert. That's really what it is that I do. I just make talking about sex easier, and I
Love it.
cheer people on for their kinks. As long as they're not unconsensually harming somebody, then I celebrate it, whatever it is. I'm their biggest cheerleader just for speaking it out loud. Every time somebody gets on a consultation with me, I just celebrate the fact that they got on, because a lot of people are afraid to do sexual development. And so it's really just like attuning to A, what it is you desire, and then B, getting clear on what it is that is blocking you from moving forward. Like, what is the shame actually about? And it's usually we like kind of go down a rabbit hole together with somatics. Do you know what somatics are?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of have them like have a feeling in their body. Usually shame either hangs out in the throat, the chest, the stomach, the gut. And it hangs out in the body, and it usually comes in a sensation, a color, and it has something to say. And so I kind of walk them through that experience, and it's usually goes back, then we go back to childhood of when that memory or that shame was implanted in, because it's usually 0 to 8. Sex usually comes around like 7 to 12 actually. And so we go to that moment in which that shame showed up in their body. Maybe they found a sex magazine, or they caught their parents having sex, or they were touching themselves and they were shamed for it, or they were like horny as a little kid and then they got like reprimanded or something. Everyone has their own journey. And so we go into that space and we feel it together. And then somehow we get it out. So like we'll play with it, we'll be present with it, we'll give it love, we'll give it attention. And then it usually always travels and comes out. And then a lot of times I like to have scream fests.
That sounds fun. Scream fest sounds fun.
It is fun. I do like a sacred temper tantrum.
Okay.
Which it sounds like it would be helpful for you actually right now with what's going on in your life. You do 90 seconds of heavy metal and you scream and throw a temper tantrum like you're a little kid in a candy store that its mom won't let you have candy.
So you put on heavy metal and then just go nuts so the neighbors
for 90
don't
seconds.
Hear? Okay.
90 seconds. That's it. And like as long as you're not like breaking a bone or breaking anything you don't want to break, just go crazy.
Yeah, I think I might do that after we are done recording, actually. And also, there's a chair that is already like wobbling around, broken in my kitchen, like a stool. I think that stool is about to meet its end, so might have a little fucking what do they call it? Like a rec room, or damage room, or whatever the fuck.
They're great.
Yeah.
These are so fun. Throwing a temperature. I'm like, you think about like a 3-year-old kid in a candy store that can't get the candy and is wailing. Like, do that.
Yeah. So then you do these process whatever with clients, and then is it a one and done? Now they're ready to like go out and put a leather mask on and like get whipped or shit, or what, or does it take time or what?
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Everyone goes in their own pace. I always say like I follow their nervous system. Like some couples and or singles are ready to go. And like one guy, like on our first appointment, he went through everything. He's like, I want to have sex with men. I want to do butt stuff. I want to be a sub. I want to have sex with trans. Like I'm ready to go. Let's go. And I was like, okay, let's go.
Fuck yeah.
Let's
Good for
let's do that.
him.
Like, yeah. And
Yeah.
he was like 65 and he had only had like vanilla regular sex his
Fuck
whole life.
yeah. Applaud a round of sex party applause for that guy. That's fucking
Yeah.
awesome. Go
No.
get it. Go get it, buddy. For real.
And he had his first threesome on mushrooms, which he was super stoked about, and got head from a guy at a massage parlor. I was so proud of him.
Wow. So he just, yeah. I see. And that's the thing about getting older, I think, like, you just don't give a, like, I mean, obviously he worked through some things, but usually, like, you just don't give a fuck, like, about stuff like that. Like, you'll ask for a handy at a fucking massage parlor from whomever.
Oh, he got head. He got head.
Well, yeah, either way. I just
I was so proud of that.
Yes. Yeah. There's nothing better than consensual head at a massage parlor, I would say, because I have never had that. But
that's a thing that you won't go down. And you know what? He told me he learned something because the guy was like, straight men don't fully come, just let go. And he did. He had a new like breakthrough in coming from getting head from a man.
Wow, good for him, man. Breaking his own fucking shame walls at 65. Getting out there.
When this happened, I literally jumped up and down and cheered and high-fived him and gave him a huge hug. And like that's why I'm the kinky spiritual cheerleader.
I love that. Do you primarily work with men or do you work with women as well?
A lot of times actually women. I love to work with women. My online program I'm launching is for women, but it's usually couples and single men. I actually love working with couples. That's my favorite. Personally.
Okay.
I mean, I love men too, like they're amazing, but it's fun to play with the different dynamics of the men and women, and I love to help them go to sex parties for the first time. That's one of my biggest things is I love to help couples who I usually like my primary person I work with is couples who've been together for like 10 plus years. They're totally in love, but they're bored sexually, and they know that if they don't do something, they're going to get a divorce eventually, or somebody's going to cheat someday in the future, right? So they come to me before breakdowns happen. They're like, I want to try something kinky. I want to try something different. We want to have a threesome. We want to open our marriage. We want to explore, but we don't want to like destroy our marriage. So I help them with that.
So what are some of the guidelines to doing those things and not destroying your relationship and or a marriage, would you say, for you?
It's talking about what your boundaries are, and then also being okay with if you don't know where your boundaries are, being okay with them being crossed and not having it be like a whole breakdown. Like I always celebrate my clients when they cross a boundary they didn't know happened because now they know it's there. And so making that a good thing versus a breakdown is helpful. Obviously, they know like, hey, that's my boundary. I'm not going to cross it in the future. But celebrating that boundary got crossed versus shaming or making it a huge fight or an issue is really helpful.
Yeah, so you're like reversing the fucking negative. Yeah. Which if you're open-minded and a little patient and calm, you can learn a lot from that. I appreciate that a lot too.
Yeah.
What are some of the things like, what are some of the desires? I mean, are you seeing a pattern? Is it a lot of threesomes? Is it a lot of sex parties? A lot of like hot wifing? Like what are married couples really wanting when they come in and you really get down into the nitty gritty with them?
I think the biggest challenge that I have is one person is a lot hornier and wants to go to sex parties and open their marriage and fuck a lot of people, and then the other person doesn't. And it doesn't mean it's a woman or man. It really doesn't. Every relationship is different. Sometimes it's the woman who's way hornier, and sometimes it's the man who's way hornier. I think the biggest pattern that I've seen that's very clear, and this is something I'm really working on, is that men have a tendency to go too fast. They get in their head and they get unfocused on achieving orgasm. So they're like focused on their partner achieving an orgasm.
Yeah.
But they have an issue with being present, and in lacking presence, then they miss a lot of things. So like talking about the dominant attunement, being a dom, one of the things that I think like are really incredibly well developed dom does is they have a tendency to read the energy of the room and see what their sub isn't seeing, right? That's what you can really bring them through is really reading that room and attunement. And a lot of men have a tendency to hang out in their brains, and they have a tendency to have a goal and a focus. And when they have a goal and an outcome, they're not present to what's happening.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. And then with women, they have a tendency to say yes when they don't mean it.
Oh,
and they get resentful and angry and shut down and bitter and not surrendered in their pleasure. And so what I do with them is help them communicate their boundaries with their voice and ask for what they need. A lot of times women have a hard time asking for what they need, and stop being such fucking bitches. That women can be such bitches. And so like really teaching them how to communicate with grace and love and compassion and like adoration versus like, you're fucking wrong. What'd you do that for?
So wait a second. Okay. Give me some examples of how, like, you were just doing it beautifully, by the way. But like, give me some examples of like women being bitches and like whatever. Is it that they don't want to be wrong, or they want to be the alpha in the relationship, or like what do you mean? Can you dive into women being bitches more?
There's this really awesome book I love. It's called The Queen's Code. And it's been Alison Armstrong. It's the only book I've read. I've read it like 18 times. Which is a lot of times.
Yeah.
And she teaches about how to communicate between the men and women. So we speak different languages. And so she calls it frog farming.
Okay.
So you're taking princes and turning them into frogs. And it's I mean, unless it's your kink. If it's your kink, then go for it. Like, some men love that shit, and as long as it's consensual and like it's a total yes. But a lot of times, like, a woman will say something that's very sharp, like kind of cutting and like shamey and like putting men down. And if you watch yourself or others, like, men will collapse. They'll kind of like, they're like, it's like an ego hitting, you fucked up kind of energy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a very vivid, wild imagination. I'm very curious. I'm very dominant. And so just to share a fucking personal anecdote that no one gives a shit about, but maybe someone will get something out of this. Like, I've been in relationships where I've shared a kink or something I wanted to explore and got the yuck from the girl, and I didn't shut down. I just broke up with them, like, flat out. You know what I mean? And so then they're like, wait a minute, you're going to toss away our whole relationship? I'm like, I just, now I have the ick, and they're like, well, what you said was so wild. And I'm like, yeah, but you didn't even. So that's how I deal with it. And that's probably just me or whatever.
You got frog farmed. You got frog farmed. So like, when you get frog farmed, you shut down, and the way you shut down is breaking up.
Yeah,
right?
Get the fuck away from me, lady. Yeah,
exactly. Instead of getting curious, right? Be like, oh, that's an interesting kink. Can I ask why you want to do that, or what does that look like for you? Or maybe I'm not a holy fuck yes, but maybe there's something we can meet in the middle to explore it and try it, like, where I'm comfortable and you also get your kinks met, right? You're saying a better response.
Well, no, but you're saying they should have said that to me. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Wouldn't that feel better?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And like, to be fair, like, later on down the line, like, some partners did, and so and it did, when they did, that felt incredibly different and awesome and whatever. And also too, like, when you're talking about men get in their heads and they have goals and the orgasm and whatever, you're right. And I've talked about this too before, and I'll keep it short, guys, because I know you don't want to hear about my bullshit, but it does play into what we're talking about in the conversation. I was having a lot of sex in my 20s and in my 30s and whatever, and so I just was in the nightlife and I was running things, and so there's a lot of sex that was available to me and whatever, and I got really good at getting women off, which then, of course, as you know, would bring more clients. I wasn't charging anyone, but like,
confidence. It would be more confidence would create more.
Yeah. And so they, and a lot of girls would be like, hey, is it okay if I like tell my friend, like you can, and I'm like, absolutely, like, please do. And so it was like, whatever. And so when I got out of the nightlife, as it were, and I got into more casual stuff, one night stands and whatever, and then eventually relationships, especially in the relationship, my last relationship, I was incredibly performative, right? Like I was so used to actually putting like my orgasm on the back burner. I didn't really care if I got off, or I could like pull out and like then get off on them or whatever the thing was, just by like jerking off myself. I didn't need, that's kind of was my thing for like 15 years, right? And so it wasn't until recently, like this last 2-3 years, where I realized that I was so determined on making her come at least once every single time that it took away the passion that was needed between us in order for her to really get off, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Totally, 100%. Yeah, there's lack of presence. So one of the things, I actually have a dominatrix training. I did it online. I have never worked as a dominatrix, but I did it to work with my clients more.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a tendency to dom the dom into doming the sub. So like, let's say, an example, I had this couple, they've been together for 24 years. He wasn't getting the concept of dominant, and she was deeply craving it and yearning for it. And so I did a scene with them where I dommed him to dom her, which was really fun, actually. And it was interesting because I had them laying down, I had them breathing, kind of like what we did with you before we started the episode.
Yeah.
And I had them breathe, get into their bodies, you know. She was in lingerie. He was kind of like in a more dom outfit. And then I had him sit up, and I just asked him, I said, hey, look at your wife. What do you see right now? And he goes, oh, I see a woman who's like in her feminine, who's surrendered, who's peaceful. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I see a woman who's fucking petrified right now. And as soon as I said that, she started sobbing.
Yeah.
And that's the attunement. They've been together for 24 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he couldn't see it. And then as soon as I saw it, he saw it, and he started to click in, and it was really powerful. It was like the little nuances, right? Where he was like, please, please be in your pleasure. Please be in your pleasure. I'm like, get your fucking ass up, stand in your power, get crystal clear on who you are, know that that's your fucking woman, and own her. And then he like, something shifted inside of him, and he like anchored into it, and then she surrendered in a way I had never seen her. And that was actually our last session we worked together for like a year. That was our last session, and every time I see her, she's just softer, more surrendered, more happy, more in her flow. Yeah.
She's
Really
coming
good.
all over the place finally, and like connecting and fucking God knows what else. That's amazing, right? I think that's gorgeous on so many levels, because what would they have done without you, you know? And I think for you had that missing piece of knowledge that they desperately needed, and I think that's another reason why I wanted you on the show.
Thanks.
Of course, yeah.
We need to talk about sex parties, because your show is called Sex Party.
Yeah. Well, that's now we're getting into it. So what I want to do is, because you are someone who I would say is a regular at sex parties, and you know, you've had a lot of experiences. So before I get into how I think, or you know, what I want you to talk to them about, I was wondering, like, could you talk and be graphic, obviously as graphic as you want, right? Be as comfortable as you want, whatever. But like, can you talk about your experience at sex parties? Can we talk about some of your wilder experiences at sex parties? And to, you know, what kind of like crazy, horny, kinky things have you got into that were like mind blowing? You know, those like, you know, some stories on those, and then I'm gonna like reverse it and have you talk to them about, you know, what they should know and maybe the way they can access sex parties. But I want to get the experience because, ladies and gentlemen, this woman is experienced in sex parties, and I want her to, you know, list off some of that kinky, wild, horny shit because, you know, we love that around here.
I think one of my favorite moments was I go to the Play LA a lot.
We love the play.
We love the Play. The best. I literally think they're the best sex party I've ever been to by far, without a shadow of a doubt. They're very intentional. That's what I like about it. That's my vibe.
Yep.
Right. I was at a sex party that they called, which was like the playground of the gods. So they have all these amazing themes. It was this gorgeous mansion up in the Hollywood Hills overlooking all of Los Angeles. Massive. They do it so well. They have like a space where they're doing photography with snakes and you can do photography with snakes. And then they have like a kink room where they're doing shibari and have like all sorts of sex kinky toys. And then they have like the cuddle room, and that's only like no sex is allowed, only like intimacy. And then they had this room. It was like in the middle of the mansion. There was like it looked like an ancient like priestess area where they literally had like probably like 20 mattresses laid out. And they had all this like curtains draping down, and they had a DJ in there with the best music ever. And I know this doesn't sound kinky, but it is kinky, but like not really, like, if I'm going to be honest. But I'm having sex with this guy that I had instantly, like, second we saw each other, I'm like, we're going to fuck, like, let's go. And it was his first sex party, and we're in this pile of probably 50 people, at least got to be 50 people, and all of these, the music's going. It's so crowded that, like, erotic, and the energy was just so rich. And I remember he like looked and like, this is the erotic. This is funny because of course this is what I would say was the most erotic is we're fucking, it's so hot, we're in it, and he looks in my eyes, like deeply looks into my eyes and goes, "Thank you so much. This is one of the most magical moments of my life."
That's amazing. Yeah.
And like he's like with me. It wasn't like, it wasn't like he was looking all around, and I mean I was more looking around going like, this is hot. But like he like clicked in with me and like was there. And interestingly enough, I had him come over to my house a couple days later, and it wasn't the same. Like sometimes you just gotta like leave the sex at the sex party. It kind of ruined the memory just a little bit. I mean, like, oh, yeah, you go.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like what you probably like when you bring strippers home. It's like, because I've done that a lot. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had some great experiences with bringing strippers home too, but most of the time it's like, well, the lights are too bright in here, and the drugs have run out, and what are we doing? It's like yeah. So I totally feel that. Okay, so you have this experience with this guy. You're in a fuck pile, which we love, right? And again, only answer what you want. I always want my guests to be comfortable in a sex party situation like that. When he's like, I'm gonna come, where is he coming? Is he coming in you, on you? What do you prefer in that scenario? Is there condom use? Is there whatever?
Always condoms. Always condoms.
Because I know
the play requires condoms.
Okay. And I know they require testing too. Yeah.
Yeah, they required. I mean, I require condoms if it's somebody I don't know.
Sure, I'm a big condom person too, so I totally understand. Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, as a sex coach, STIs is a huge topic I talk about. So, like, if I'm gonna have sex with somebody without a condom, I require we both go get tested prior. I'm very adamant about my sexual health. It's a huge priority for me. But yeah, I also am very fertile.
Oh.
So, I'm not going to really go into that, but I know I'm very fertile. So
sure.
I actually don't allow people to come inside me.
Like even with a condom, you want them to pull out. Yeah, see, that's smart. And like
Yeah.
that,
So
that,
I'll communicate that before the penetration happens. I'll be like,
yeah.
hey, just so you know, like, but I won't allow you to come inside me.
So, so when you say have at it, like your face is open game, your hair, your because most,
I mean, at a sex party, my hair would be a no.
yeah, try to avoid the hair, guys. Yeah,
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 like
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, like if I'm at my house where my shower's there and I can just go in, like that would be a no. But like not at a sex party.
Yeah.
No.
Well, the face is a big deal. I love that. And that's really erotic in a way that's like just like horny, right? And I think you can do that in that conversation you had before, like, hey, you're welcome to like whip the condom off and like blow it wherever you want, but don't come inside me. Condom or no, don't come inside me. And
No.
so I love that. So okay. So you said you're very, very fertile. Do you find that because of that, and I know like take it how you will, is that like something where like, there's like a breeding kink, right? And I know that's like a thing that people, I mean, does that ever tempt you to try like tempt fate a little bit? Okay. All right. Um, but like a partner or a partner is like coming on your face, coming on your body, that turns you on.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's
I love
great.
that.
I
I
had
love
a
that.
partner. I had a partner for a minute, a couple summers ago. He was super poly. Actually, I met him at a sex party. We were dating for like 5 months or something. That's
Yeah.
cool. I like that.
I
There's this
hear
thing.
I hear it's good for skin. I don't know.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a beautiful experience. That's wonderful. And you had those intentions, right? What are
Mhm.
some other wild, I mean, are you having group sex at these sex parties? Are you like hooking up with women and men? I just want to give them a menu of things that you've
A
done before.
menu. I mean, I love making out with women. I think boobs are great, but I'm primarily straight. I've dated women
Sure.
before. I tried it. I did it. It's not my vibe. Like
What
I don't get turned on by a pussy as much as I do a cock. It's
yeah.
just like
Yeah.
I've tried
Sure.
it. I've been there, done that. If I mean, I'm also a sapiosexual, so I have to be like really turned on by somebody's mind.
Yeah.
I'm really into being mentally stimulated by somebody before there's any sexual interaction. So that is important to me. Even at a sex party, I gotta have some sort of connection with the person.
Yeah. I mean, is there
Um,
anything better than that? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a huge priority for me. So, in being a sapiosexual, sometimes once in a while, I'll meet a woman that I'm just like, holy moly, you're incredible. But I'm just like, yeah, it's not my primary thing. I've had threesomes. I had this one time, that was the same party. That was a really good party that I
it
was just telling you
sounds
about.
like it. Yeah.
Um, no, my intention was to have a threesome with two guys. And so the guy that I was telling you the story with, later I was having sex with another guy and he came up and he's like, "Hey, can I join you? You said that was your intention." And so we ended up having sex together. But the energy, like, it's gotta be chemistry. So like the energy between the two men wasn't the vibe. Like I've
Yeah.
had threesomes with men that it was like epic, right? So one of them kind of left, and then this other girl came, and so then we all had a threesome. But I'm funny with fluids. Besides semen, I'm funny with fluids. I'm really kinky, but I'm also really funny with fluids. Like my best friend who knows me and how kinky I am. So
Well,
funny. It's funny the things that we don't like, right?
sure.
I squirmed away. And got food and brought it back.
Wait, she started to squirt breast milk or squirt?
Not my friend, the girl at the sex party.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We were having sex. Yeah, I'm just gonna sneak out.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go to the
Gonna go get some snacks.
nachos. Yeah, the nacho pile. Yeah, yeah. The
But
nacho bar.
the good news is we had a splash blanket under us.
Oh,
So.
yeah. Splash blanket. If you don't have one, look it up. It's lovely. Even if you're not a squirter, splash blanket is great. Little. I'm
I
not
use
being paid to say that either. I just
I
know.
use Splash Blanket for like free bleeding. So like when I'm on my period, I'll use it. It's really good for period sex. It's also really good just to keep your sheets clean if you
Yeah,
don't want to
fuck yeah.
get
Yeah,
cum on them or whatever. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. That's how we met. I was vending Splash Blanket.
yeah. Yeah. Splash Blanket brought us together. just
Aw.
not just not in the way that you think, guys. So when you say you have threesome with two guys, is this a double penetration situation or have you done that before?
I haven't done it because the
Yeah.
guys were too large.
Oh yeah. Well, that's always gonna be.
If they're
Yeah.
both really big, it's a problem. If
Yeah.
one's small and medium, one's medium and one's big, that's okay. But
Sure. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of a fantasy of mine, but at the same time, I'm okay with sometimes leaving fantasies in the fantasy land.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Do you
It's
have
all
a
about
fan?
chemistry. It's all about chemistry.
Yeah.
If
I
if
know.
the right situation shows up, I would be like a fuck yes, but it hasn't
Yeah.
happened yet. So
Well, they say that you know and maybe you have this fantasy, maybe you don't, maybe you've had this fantasy, but like women, I think it's like 94% of women or something have like a gangbang type fantasy.
oh,
But
totally.
oh,
I've
okay.
had that 100% for sure.
So
And
with intention, would you ever pursue something like that?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
totally.
All right. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I love that. Um, I mean, those are some really great sex party adventures. And again, shout out to the Play LA. They definitely know how to do it right. And I do want to stress to the listeners, to the people on YouTube, anybody in the audience, that you can just go to a sex party and like have some sushi and chill. There is that option. You don't have to like disrobe. And I want to stress that because I try to stress that every time. If you're just curious, apply and whatever. But let's say
I've
there are
gone
more.
to I've gone to tons of sex parties where I've never changed or kissed anyone or done anything, and I just like
Yeah.
watch. I just watch. I like just being in the room because
Yeah.
it's like the only place I've ever found in which like erotic turn on is fully accepted in community, and I think we live in such a you know religious dogma society that we're all fucking horny and we walk around, but we're all shamed
I
in the
know.
frequency. And so when we go to a sex party, it's like none of that is there and you can just play.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. um I love that too. And I think now is the best time. Now they know, I mean, you're really experienced. You had these things, you have these things you might do, which is wonderfully set the table here. So everybody in the audience, has emailed me, has DM'd me on the multiple different social media platforms, and they've asked like, Dustin, how do I go to a sex party? I don't mean like how do I find it, because I think I can find one. Just Google it. Number one, there you go. And number two, I'm nervous. I don't know if I have the confidence to do that solo with a partner. So walk them through, if they're curious and they want to go to a sex party, what kind of like checklist should they have, what should they expect, how should they go about it, how do they get over the nerves?
Well, I think one of the things that I always say to people is make sure that the party you're going to, you know that it's safe.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of different avenues of different sex parties. I went to I mean, this is a totally different thing, but I went to DomCon in LA and they had a sex party afterwards, but anyone could go. And it was like there was no, regulation of any kind in any way, really. And I didn't go because I got molested by a woman in the lobby of the Hilton, and I've never been molested by anyone before. So I
Oh, I'm
chose not to go
sorry
to
to
that
hear
one.
that.
Yeah, whereas like the play, everyone has to have an interview process. Everyone has to upload their STI results. They have a process of getting in. There's a lot of other parties too that have processes of getting in. There's also house parties, right? So
Oh, bless you.
there's house parties where usually somebody and like it's a collection of people and you're invited. There's also dungeons you can go to, but like get curious about what the onboarding process is. If it's more complex, you probably a good thing actually. Because I have clients who go to sex clubs and so forth, and sometimes if there's no regulation of who comes in, people can be disrespectful. So first off, make sure you're going to a situation that's safe. That consent is the highest priority there, because you want to only have a good experience, and that's kind of how you preface that. Personally, for me, I like parties that if I'm gonna like go wild sexually, I like ones that do require testing. If not, I'll go and just connect with people and then get their information and then have sex with them another time, or meet up with them in a dating experience later and
Yeah.
have that conversation. So those are kind of those pieces. Second off is getting clear before you go what your fuck yeses are and what your fuck nos are. Because when erotic turn on happens, yeah, brain can go crazy and you can do things you don't actually want to do. And then you'll go home and feel shame from it. So for me, I get really crystal clear whether I'm going with myself or with a partner, what it is I'm available for in that period of my life. And it can change dramatically where I am in my month, where I am in my stress level, what's going on in my life, how slutty I am. I go through phases of no sluttiness and I go through phases of total sluttiness, right? It just depends on where I'm at. So getting really crystal clear on what you're available for before the eros and the erotic turn on is there. And then keeping that to yourself. I think that's really, really, really important. A lot of times if you're freaked out by it completely and you're super overwhelmed, but you kind of want to go, just go and like maybe have the intention of kissing one person and just
Okay.
watching, right?
Yeah.
Or like sometimes I'll go to a sex party and I'll check in with myself and be like, okay, what am I available for? And like, I'm available for anything at this party that doesn't involve penetration with a cock, right? I can do anything else. Or I want to just whatever feels most alive. Or
Yeah.
I want to have a threesome with two guys. Like it just really getting clear with yourself what your intention is. And this is one thing that play does is they have you express at the beginning what your intention is, what your boundaries are, and what your desires are. And I think that's a really beautiful practice to do with yourself too, is so I think that is the primary one, is getting really clear and then keeping it no matter how turned on you are, because there's always more sex parties.
Yeah, for sure. Any sort of, and again, like, cause you deal with like the nervous system and parasympathetic nerve and all those things. So like, what if they're feeling nervous? Oh God, I don't know what to wear. What do I do? And like all these things. How would you advise them to get over those nerves? Because my thing is always like, hey, just embrace the fear and do it anyway, whatever. But like that's not going to work for everybody. So
Breath,
okay,
breathing,
okay,
centering into the body. Box breathing is the best. So box breathing is you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. And it looks kind of like a box.
nice. Yeah,
So
yeah, we love it.
that's the best, especially at the party and your nervous system. And then the other one, this is my little secret. Want to hear my secret?
We always want to hear your secret.
Damiana tea.
Really?
Yeah, Damiana
Explain,
tea.
please.
So actually, right before I met you, the day before I met you, I actually was at the play doing a Damiana tea experience for everyone. Damiana is an herb from Mexico that's been used by the Mayans for thousands of years in sex rituals, actually. And it is a aphrodisiac, and I always jokingly say it opens your heart and it opens your pussy. But it also helps with social anxiety. So, and I've given people Damiana tea. It is not a drug, just so you know. It's like an herb, but it does help you feel euphoric in your body. So I've had people come up and be like, "Did you give me Molly? Is there Molly in that?" Like, no, it's just Damiana tea. So it like helps regulate the nervous system, helps you get into your body and be present, helps you in your heart, and helps you get turned on.
No, I mean, no wonder you were so calm when we met. Yeah. Where do they get Damiana tea? Just online somewhere? They can't go into the store and get it, can they?
No, it's a hard one. I'm actually in the process of trying to figure that out.
Oh, okay.
With Goddess Naturals, we are in the process of trying to bring that to people, because I used to rep a company that was out of Baja, but they went out of business. And so, yeah, I'm looking for that process as we speak. So let's do a little podcast later. Talk
Yeah,
about that.
for sure. Well, before we get to like, because I do want to get to your program, and also if you want to talk about Goddess Natural, I think it's very cool, even if it's just a little bit. The last piece I have is if they're a couple,
hmm
married or otherwise, and they're going to a sex party. You brought this up before we started recording, but jealousy, it's going to happen. What's your advice on jealousy? Because this goes with having a threesome or opening a relationship or trying something new. There's going to be that jealousy. Maybe it's a partner swap. Maybe you're couple swapping, and there's going to be jealousy. So what are your views on jealousy, and like how give them some advice on how they can sort of use it or not?
Voice it,
Okay.
verbalize it. Don't go attack somebody because that's
Mm-hmm.
not okay, like at all. Like, you're doing this, blah, 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 blah. Just go up and be vulnerable and say, I'm experiencing a lot of jealousy right now. Can we talk about it?
So this is during the sexual act.
Um,
Uh,
I mean, no is always an option, right? It depends on what is going on with the experience. A couple times I've had jealousy. One time, the first time I went to a sex party, my partner that I went with, he was like going down and fingering a girl, and I was on the other side of the party. And I looked over, and this is the first time I ever experienced jealousy at a sex party. And I was like, whoa, I'm experiencing jealousy. And I was talking to two people, and I was like, wow, I'm so jealous right now. I just verbalized it, right? I didn't verbalize it to my partner, but I verbalized it out loud. I am experiencing jealousy. I feel jealousy in my body.
yeah.
Just acknowledging that to anyone is really, really powerful. And then they encouraged me. They're like, oh, go tell him. So I walked up to him and I was like, hey. And he's like, oh, hey. And I was like, can we talk for a minute? I'm experiencing jealousy. Would you
This
be
is
okay?
while
Well, he
he
was
was
going down on,
going down now. He went from
yeah.
fingering to going
He was,
down.
like, he was like fingering and going down, like kind of and like spanking and kind of just playing with this girl. And because we were a partner and we went together, that was communicated that was okay. Like that was part
Sure.
of our communication and boundaries and consent prior.
Uh-huh.
And so he stopped and she went on to like go sex some guy's cock. She was fine. Like she wasn't mad.
So
Like
she wasn't pissed at you like, God damn it, you're a cock blocker. Okay.
no, 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 no. Um Anyway, so yeah, she was like, I mean, no is always an option,
Yeah.
always, no matter what. And that's one of the things I love about the play is like, even if you're in the middle of penetration and it's a no, you can just stop.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
always more people to go fuck. Like,
This is very true.
like you got lots of options. And then another time I had I think a lot of times, like if the person is in the middle of something and you don't want to interrupt it, just verbalizing it to somebody. Like another time I was at a party and this guy I was dating, he was there with his wife and I loved the wife. She was amazing, but he wasn't paying attention to me the way I wanted to be paid attention to. He was like off flirting with his wife with other women.
Yeah.
And he just like didn't tell me I was sexy, didn't validate me, didn't process me. So I went up to my girlfriend. I'm like, I'm experiencing jealousy. I'm really triggered. Can we talk? And she was like, yeah, sure. Let's talk about it. And so she's like, well, what are you jealous about? And I told her. And then I was like, okay. She's like, okay, well, what do you actually want right now? What do you desire? And I was like, I want him to pay attention to me. She's like, okay, let's go. And she like grabbed my hand and walked me into the room that he was at and started to like hang out with him. And then we kind of like started making out and like kind of playing. And then she's like, okay, see you later. And then she left. And then him. I didn't care anymore. And then like some girl came in after me and was like, can I have it? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. And I wasn't jealous anymore. It was just like vocalizing and expressing the jealousy out loud is really helpful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's amazing. And I think that's like incredible advice across the board for how to attend, how to deal with jealousy in multiple different ways, how to get in touch with yourself and your boundaries, whatever. So you have a new program coming up. So why don't you tell them about that? And maybe they want to work with you more and jump into that program.
Yeah, so this one is actually specifically for women. And it's called the Erotic Rose Path. For those of you who don't know, the Rose Path is like a priestess path. on the way of the rose, and the rose is, it's like a Venetian Venus like spiritual path, but I'm adding the erotic into it because I think that we, as I had said, we're taking away prayer from sexuality. Like Christianity has kind of split that aspect and taken it out of the bedroom, and I think we're deeply yearning for it as a culture. And it's making your pleasure your prayer, and it's for women who are ready to reclaim their pleasure as a spiritual path. And so it's like really living deeply turned on by your life, right? So a lot of times, one of the things I love about sharing Damiana tea is I drink Damiana tea before I'm about to write something or create something. I use my erotic energy as fuel to create in the world. And Eros is creation energy, right? Sex creates life. That's like kind of the foundation of it. But a lot of times in the shame avenue or like aspect, we only put sex into the bedroom. And I think that shutting down our sexuality outside of the bedroom is creating a lot of disconnection for women, a lot of disease, a lot of resistance, a lot of frustration, a lot of resistance to our bodies, right? A lot of women shame our bodies. We hate our bodies. We judge our bodies. We feel uncomfortable in them. So it's really being waking up to your full erotic power in everything that you do, from taking a shower, putting on your clothing, drinking your coffee, eating, interacting, being in every area of your life. And it's about becoming magnetic and inspiring people around you to be in action and in devotion to you. And when you're in devotion to life, life is in devotion to you.
Yeah.
So using your sexuality as fuel and becoming erotically sovereign. So like, this is one thing I love about the OnlyFans girls is they're really in their erotic sovereignty. And I think a lot of women aren't in their erotic sovereignty. What that means is like, we have been programmed by society conditioning for thousands of years that our sexuality belongs to the patriarchy, really. And so it's really becoming sovereign, and this is a fuck yes and this is a fuck no, and if it's a problem, then get out of my way. Like no, like and not about shutting down your sexuality, but like building it up and using it as a beautiful fuel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that speaks volumes about you too. I think you just described so much of your core beliefs and foundations in there too, which we fucking love. Do you want to say something about Goddess Naturals, or you're not ready to?
No, I can. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Go for it.
I'm becoming the feminine face of Goddess Naturals.
Congratulations.
I'm the priestess of partnerships.
I love it.
And so Goddess Naturals, what I really love about them is it's a plant-based lube. Water-based lube, sorry. Water-based lube that is infused with something called Vesisorb, which is a patented product that whatever is in it, it brings it into the tissues faster.
Wow.
So there's a CBD that's in there, and we're developing some other products that are going to be coming out as well. But the Vesisorb kind of pulls the CBD into the tissue faster. I'm a very sensitive being. I have high quality standards when it comes to ingredients, and lube is no different. So a lot of lubes can cause yeast infections, UTIs, actually fertility issues, because methylparaben and polyparaben can cause, which is a huge ingredient in a lot of lubes, can cause big problems with fertility. And I know fertility is a problem, and infections. And a lot of women can use lubes, which we need lubes if we're using condoms. Like it's mandatory.
Sure.
I think lube should be like, it's like a lotion for sex. Like we all need lotion. We all need conditioner in our hair. We all need face cream. We all need lube down there.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, that is what it's about.
And that's amazing, because not all the things you mentioned that are issues with lube, right? But like, not to mention like, and I'm not going to call them out. I think I might have called them out when I did the recording at Stimulate, because there's a Stimulate special coming up. But I think there's a King of the Hill lube that's out there right now that's just been number one forever. They were at Stimulate, if that there's a clue for you. But like, it's a fucking mess, guys. So her pussy is like a mess, even more of a mess. Like not in a really great way because it's like sticky lube. My fucking genitals and balls and fucking thighs are like completely covered in the whatever. And I feel like when you get into some other high quality stuff, you don't have that issue. I mean, it's obviously great to take a shower after sex, no matter what. But when you use brand A, we'll call them, that's another clue, right? They're very, very messy, and I can't believe they haven't fucking changed that over the years. So with Goddess Natural, it's like maybe it's a fucking ringer for not being such a fucking. It feels like someone took a pie and put it in your crotch and grounded it around. So
Yeah, Goddess Naturals is like super soothing, and it's like nourishment to the vagina, which is I think
yeah,
which is what I like about them is they test for like pesticides and chemicals and petrochemicals and heavy metals, which I don't know if you noticed, but there's like this big the thing that came out that like all tampons and pads have heavy metals, which is causing like cervical cancer, which is a huge issue. And so
yeah.
a lot of people aren't like, I go to a sex toy store and I'll look at the ingredients of lube, and there's very few lubes I'll use or put on my body. And so Goddess Naturals is clean. It's triple lab tested, lots of science backed, FDA approved, all the things.
Yeah.
And it's also nourishing with the CBD and the Vesasorb. So I love it. And yeah, if y'all wanna, I could probably give you an affiliate link if you wanted.
Well, I mean, you could just shout them out if you want and tell them where to go to find it.
Yeah, it's goddessnaturals.com.
There you go.
So,
there you go. Rose Heartsong, thank you so much for being with me on Sex Party. I would love to have you back in the future. But before you go, and we'll talk about that once we stop recording, but before you go, let's tell these wonderful party-going, horny fucks where they can not only find you on Instagram, because you have a beautiful Instagram. Your Instagram is actually one of my favorites currently. I love what you're putting out. I love that it's like, kink, and it's the fun things that you have all this other stuff behind it that anybody who's not woo-woo can still like get in on the fucking mission. Love it. Where they can find you on Instagram, any other social medias you want to plug, but more importantly, where they can find you and work with you. Those couples, these dudes, some women, where do they go?
So you just go to roseheartsong.com. My last name is Hartong. It's Heartsong. And you can book a free consultation. And then I'm also open for enrollment for the Erotic Rose Path. It's on there. You can find it. And you can get my free checklist on there as well. And you can also reach out to me on Rose Heartsong on Instagram. And I also have my own radio show. It's called Follow Your Heartsong. We talk about spirituality, sexuality, and holistic health, which is all of who I am. So come over there if you want to dive deeper with me.
Yeah, you guys want to dive deeper with her. Go check her out right now. Go follow her. Go listen to her stuff. Work with her. Get the consultation. Rose, thank you so much for doing this again. It was lovely having you. Yeah, and I can't wait to have you back.
Yay, thank you. It was a pleasure. I just have been so much fun talking with you about everything.
Yeah, me too. I always have a good time with you.
Aww.
We'll talk again very, very soon. Huge thank you to my guest, Rose Heartsong, for being with me on the show this week. Make sure you go check out everything she is doing. Go get yourself a free consultation. Follow her on Instagram. Go check out everything that she recommends. She is smart. She knows what's up. Trust in the fact that she has got your back when it comes to conscious kink. She will be back on the show, and I know you guys are loving guests like her, and maybe you're loving all of the guests, and maybe you're still on board with all my crazy nonsense, right? As a host, if those things are true, and I hope that they are, and you want to continue the party, you want to make sure you never miss a new episode, you also want to show some love and appreciation for the show, what can you do that just takes out all those things? It checks all those boxes. Well, if you're listening to this on platforms like Apple and Spotify, you could leave a rating, you could leave a review. That would be fantastic. But honestly, what would be better is if you just subscribe to the show so you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday, especially if you're subscribed or think you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts. They have been unsubscribing people from certain podcasts for whatever reason. So go to Apple Podcasts, go to Sex Party with Dustin and Rybka. In the upper right-hand corner, if you see a pause button, click that. Drop down menu will appear. Toggle on down to resume subscription, resume downloads. Boom, you're resubscribed. And hey, if you still want to leave a review, go for it. If you want to leave a rating, go for it. But those things are not required. Just make sure that you're subscribed. If you're watching on YouTube, I love you. I see you. I appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, have you made any plans to go to a sex party or to an event where there's going to be a lot of sex happening and then not been able to follow through because of guilt or shame or nervousness? Let me know in the comments and maybe go work with Rose to get rid of that shame. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to make sure that you never miss a party, you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday, there's also a lot of special episodes coming. What can you do? Well, you could like this video, you could dislike this video. You could leave comments on this video, on all the videos, right? That's great. Even if you hate the show, leave a negative comment. We will go back and forth and we will have a really, really good conversation. But the main thing you want to do, if you love the show, if you hate the show, if you're confused by the show, you don't want to miss an episode. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. As always, I'm available in the DMs on Instagram, and I will see you all right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at SexPartyFM. Follow Dustin at Dustin Rybka.